We go. Me- uh, All right. So I know a lot of y'all are stuck inside, either working from home remotely, but in one way or another, probably just staring at a screen all day. And you probably get a little tired of watching movies, after working all day at a screen. Then you come and watch a screen, you're looking at your phone at your screen. I'm going to give some recommendations how to get a little escape from that with just some good old fashioned books with pictures and words. And we're going to go over some graphic novels to maybe entertain you in this time of just looking at a screen and appreciate some art and some writing, some culture. Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm going to show you some pretty art to kind of enjoy while you look at your screen. But anyways, kind of give a little background about myself. I've been a professional nerd since the day I stepped on this planet, and I do a lot of gaming and I read a lot of comic books. So this is something that I'm versed in a little bit for sure. So, and yeah, you won't cap your mic. Got it.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Word. And so I worked in the best comic book shop in the nation, hands down, for 2 years, which was Third Eye Comic Books, where I studied the dark arts of the arcane magic and have
Wait,
acquired
wait, 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 wait.
quite.
Time out, time out, time out. Where is that? Where is that? Where are
Uh,
you studying the dark arts of arcane magic,
Third Eye
motherfucker?
Comics is in Annapolis, Maryland. It's a 3,000 square foot comic book store. They've got literally anything that you can imagine in there, from toys to every single comic that's ever existed. They've got
Okay.
tons of back issues. It's essentially my own personal mecca. But I mean, it is, if you're ever in Maryland and you're into this kind of stuff, like, you got to go there. It's unbelievable. It's really a spectacle. I've
You know the
taken lots
crazy.
of friends.
Wait, wait, time out. You know also the craziest thing about listening to you right now is like it's the first time I realized like holy shit he's starting to sound like his dad.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It is. It's
Uh,
just a fucking hysterical realization. So for anybody who's like obviously like Jesse's like tuned in, it's a low night, and obviously there's a lot of people doing shit. But for everybody who doesn't know, Ao and I went to college and were roommates together, which is how I
yes.
stepped into the world of the underground but proud nerddom that he comes from, and he also like evoked some of that out of me at the same time. So we've been like nerding out
Yes.
kind of like undercover for a minute, but like
Yeah.
it's a good platform to be able to talk about some different shit because I think a lot of people definitely are taking like graphic novels for granted right now.
Oh, 100%. And this is definitely something that you'll find, it's a rabbit hole, because the more you read, you discover authors that you love. Like for me, doing the drawing that I do, I definitely see certain artists, and whenever they're on a different book, I'm like, whoa, like, yo, Giuseppe Camucci's drawing so and so now. Like, it's not even a hero I read, but I love the art so much. Like, I got to
Mm.
pick it up just to like see what he's doing in there. And like, that's kind of like, one of the things I love about, like, the whole atmosphere of comic books. There's so much that you can, it's not just all about reading about your favorite hero or something like that. It's about like
Right.
discovering these creatives that like have unbelievable talent, and you start to follow them, and it leads to just more and more fun. It's awesome. It's, like I said, a rabbit hole.
So can you just like going down that list really quickly, very quickly? Like
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of people that are more mainstream that are being followed that people know about, but like who are your favorite like illustrators right now that maybe people don't know about? And maybe it ties back to what we're actually going to talk about today from a graphic
Yeah.
novel perspective.
I mean, one that I mean, of course, the one of the all-time classics. You tend in comic books to gravitate towards those classic because their art is literally timeless. Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, he drew Spider-Man for a long
Right.
time on Marvel. Jim Lee is another one, that's that's fantastic. The author of the book that I'm going to be presenting tonight, George Shaw, has drawn some incredible stuff. He's definitely an artist I would follow. And then, like I was saying, the Italian artist Giuseppe Camiculi is like one of the. He draws some of the best like Marvel stuff, in my
Giuseppe
opinion.
Camiculi.
Yeah, he's an Italian. He can barely speak any English in like any of his interviews, but the dude draws some of the most kick-ass like art that you'll like see. It's awesome.
That is
And that's like
100% your fucking name in Crab Orchard this season. If we ever play football, Giuseppe Camiculi is definitely
is
taking over violence. Yeah, we
all
need to
right,
rep
all
that
right.
hard.
Okay.
Camiculi.
That his nickname is Camu. That's what they call him in the comic world.
I love that
But
shit.
yeah, definitely a great artist. Now, if we're I mean, if we want to step out of comic books and go a little bit to the Orient and manga style, one of my all-time favorite artists is Yuseki Murata. The guy is like a god prodigy, and when I say that, he at 8 years old he entered in a contest to draw a Mega Man villain and won.
That's
And then
sick.
the next year they held the contest again and he won it again.
Damn.
Yeah, so this guy draws like One Punch Man, which
Okay.
is like some of the best stuff out there.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah,
And that's gotten like pretty mainstream at this point, while it's still like a little bit, like people
yeah,
know about
yeah,
One Punch Man. You know what I mean?
exactly. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's starting to take off and now that it's kind of reaching us over here in the States.
Sick. All right, so let's get into it. So you're basically introducing us to some graphic novels that you recommend for quarantine, something to get people off the screen, something to like,
Yep.
see some beautiful art. What are we going to talk about today specifically, and why?
Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite stories from 2 years ago. It is called God Country. And it was really a book that put the author Donny Cates on the map. He is now drawing, or sorry, he's now doing a bunch for Marvel. He did a great Thanos
Can
run.
you hold it up on the other side maybe, because we're a little bit wide? Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
he's doing he did a great Thanos story, he did Cosmic Ghost Rider, but this was kind of the story that put him on the map. And it's a fantastic story, and it's action packed. It's got a little bit sprinkle of everything in there, but really it's a family story, which is the thing about it. When
Huh.
it comes down to the values that it teaches you, it hits you with some real like Forrest Gump moments. But I mean, and where what the story is we and it has a narrator who is a descendant of this family, and he's telling a story. And I always imagine his voice in Sam Neill because our story takes place in East Texas.
Huh.
And it's it's about a family called the Quinlans, who they're the grandfather of the family, Emmett, is basically he has awful Alzheimer's, and to the point
Huh.
that he's threatening his own family because he can't remember who they are. And this is where we start off with the sheriff saying he's basically too dangerous now and he needs to be put in a home. And the son, of course, is fighting against that. But in the middle of the night, this massive tornado touched down like nobody's ever seen before. It has like it obviously it's green, it's got lightning, it's out of control, and it heads right towards the house with good old G-Pa in it and just explodes it into nothing. And
So he's
what
already got Alzheimer's, and he gets hit by the biggest tornado known
this
to man.
all like happens in a condensed amount of time.
So
Like
whenever you think you got it bad, just
yeah,
remember that my
it
man
could be
from God
worse.
Country has Alzheimer's and then gets hit by the biggest tornado of all time, which is also green.
Exactly. And it's magical because after it decimates the whole house, out comes a 20-foot demon ready to
Huh.
rock and roll. And he's closing in on the family. And right before he can get to the family, good old Grandpa Emmett jumps out of the rubble with a giant magic sword, 12 feet long, at the name of Valifax. And whenever he holds this sword, he's cured. He can remember who he is. He remembers
Hmm.
who his family is. He remembers his entire life. But it's only as long as he holds the sword. And of course, with all godly weapons, there's always going to be a god that comes back looking for what he lost. So our story here is Emmett has a choice. The god comes to him and says, "Please, please return the sword to us. My father is the one who has created this sword, and it's literally the most powerful sword of swords. One of my favorite saying in the books is it's the sword that turns men into gods and gods into ash. And
Damn,
so
that's dope.
yes, yeah,
That's
so
dope.
and so to kind of put into perspective, we all know how Thor's hammer was made. It was made in the heart of the dying star, and it's it's all powerful. Well, just to kind of give you some perspective in this, the god who created this sword destroyed an entire solar system to like create this sword, sacrificed billions and billions of people on planets to like create this weapon. And it's omnipresent, it can actually think for itself, it talks to him, it
The
knows
sword
like,
does.
yeah, it
Can you
has
say
its
the
own.
quote again? Because I'm going to change the stream info to that quote because I think that that's
Okay,
actually what it should be. All right,
yes,
what is it?
hold on. It's the sword that turns its ability to turn men into gods and gods into dust.
The sword that turns men into gods and gods into dust.
Yes. And so what's great, one of my favorite parts is,
Yeah, all
when
right, whatever. We're updating the stream title to that just because that's fucking epic.
yeah, and one of my favorite parts of this story is he and the god, when the god comes to visit him, actually have a heartfelt conversation, and the god understands why he wants to keep the sword, but he warns him that basically there's going to be consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And he says right here, he says he says, well, when I see you again, we most likely won't be allies. He goes, there is one more thing. Such matters are usually accompanied by a declaration, an intent of and a statement of intent, if you will. Have you a message for my father? And you just see Emmett just kind of glance at him. And when he goes to his father in their world that's collapsing, his father asks him what did he have a declaration. He says, he sends his words well known in his realm. He related their meaning to me. They are kind of a battle cry of his people during a time of great historical unrest. A ruler from Furl, and then he slams his fist down. What are the words? And he goes, yes, my lord, they were, come and take it. So basically, he sends these pantheon of gods after him to get the sword back, and
Right.
it's just the slugfest of haymakers between him and these gods battling it out for the sword. But
Damn.
will he prevail? Who knows? When I
Yeah.
told people to read this book,
Cliffhanger.
I told them, if you can make it through the last few pages of this book without getting a lump in your throat or your eyes watering up, I would buy it for them. They could come back to the store and I would pay for it. Nobody ever came back and
Huh.
asked for me to buy the book for them. That's what I mean by it hits you with some Forrest Gump stuff. But this is one of the best stories I've ever read. I always recommend it to everyone because a lot of people have never heard it. It's a step away from the big two with Marvel and DC, because that's the stipulation with comic books. Everybody tends to think, oh, it's superheroes and tights and capes, but there's lots of great sci-fi out there. There's some
Right.
amazing Star Wars comic books. Like if you're into
Right.
Star Wars, the Darth Vader stuff is like unbelievably awesome. Like it's some of the like coolest stuff if you're like a Vader fan. I can't even explain how like they do different things, like right after the prequels, right after like Empire Strikes Back, he has like these mini adventures in between, and there's some incredible Vader moments in there that you're just like, damn.
So what made you want? So like, look, I think what you're saying really is that like outside of Marvel and DC, there's a lot of different comics that are produced. There's a lot of ones that fly under the radar because they don't have the promotion of the big houses and whatnot.
100%,
This is one
100%.
of them.
Yes.
How do you kind of like find the diamonds in the rough like that? You know what I mean? Because it goes back to me, like it feels a little bit like digging in the crates vinyl days. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you go into a comic store, dude, like there are fucking comics and toys and shit everywhere. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested to know like how do you find those?
So it's funny, like it kind of goes all back to what I was saying with the when you follow certain creators, and you've read something great by them before, you kind of start to recognize those names. And when you hear they're writing a different project, you start to get interested, and you kind of like, you see where it goes. That's the great thing about comic books. It's a 10, 15-minute read, and you can
That's not a
kind of
10,
really
15 minute read, bro.
Well, I meant single issues. This one,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
this is
okay.
the good thing about this book is like it's the whole story. It's all six
Got
issues.
it, got it.
So like that's one of the things that like people worry about comic books, and it's a funny thing because it was one of the most common things I used to encounter in the comic book shop. Where do I start? There's
Yeah, dude, that's
850
exactly what I'm
issues.
saying.
There's
You know, like
850 issues of Spider-Man. Like, where do I start on that? Well, that's how like a lot of comic books are designed. What is called an arc, it usually consists of 5 issues and is the story within itself. So that's where it
right,
kind of gets nice in the fact that like it's like, okay, if I do want to read Spider-Man, hey, I'm really into like Green Goblin. What are the best Green Goblin stories? You don't
right,
have to read them in order. You can really cherry pick like what you want because of things being done in 5 issues. The story's done. There are, big Marvel events which, span from like 30 issues long with all the side issues and stuff that they make you buy. But for the most part, you're allowed to jump in wherever you want. It's always a good time. That's how they set it up. They don't want you to feel intimidated by the number of issues that there are of something.
yeah. I'm with all that, and I feel all that, but like, I know who the fuck Green Goblin is, and I've never read a Green Goblin comic. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
don't know God Country. Like
Right.
before some of the stuff that happened to like commercialize Spawn, less people knew about Spawn, right? So like,
Very true.
you like the IP that's been developed in DC and Marvel's undeniable, and you're going to see that whether you like it or not because that's the vehicle that they run, right? These independent
Yes.
houses, how do you like you go to referrals from a comic book store? Like you read Reddit like subreddits and shit like that? Like I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, I definitely look into subreddits. Another thing I do every single week, every single Monday is I go to what new comic books are being released that week. And sites will give you under each publisher, Marvel, DC, Image, like here's what's coming out this week.
right,
So like I can see what's coming out. Also, months in advance, they like Marvel puts teasers within issues to be like, hey, this big event's coming up, or hey, look out for issue number one of so and so. So like you really, what I was saying, like it really kind of comes back to the authors. I know something written by Jason Aaron is going to be super badass no matter what it is. Like I know something written by Donnie Cates right here. He's now writing he wrote Thanos, he wrote Venom. He's earned my trust to be like whatever he's going to put out, I know it's going to be decent enough for me to at least check out. And if it's good, you run with it. Like that's the kind of fun, exciting thing about it as well. You kind of like never know what you're gonna get, in terms of like, is it gonna be a good story? Is it gonna be a crappy story? Like they really
right,
like to leave you on cliffhangers on every single last page of comic books, so you want to go grab the next issue. So it's really just a matter of kind of knowing your creators, mainly knowing what you like, like because they do like to combine genres. They made Mark Millar, who did like Kick Ass and a bunch of other stuff,
got it.
he's working on a book right now, Magic and something. Oh, I can't think of the last name, but basically it's Breaking Bad meets Harry Potter. Like it's
That
pretty
sounds
wild.
fucking ridiculously awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so they do like a lot of cool stuff like that. One of my other favorites, Rob Gilroy, writes a series called he writes two great series. One's called Farmhand and one is called oh my god, why am I blanking on it? It's about a detective who's a vegetarian, but if he eats a piece of meat, he can see the entire history of
All
a
right,
piece of meat.
all right.
So he
You
goes to
you
murder
lost me on
scene.
that one,
He
bro.
goes to murder scenes and eats a little piece, and he can see how that person was murdered. So there's like crazy stuff like for everything, basically.
I'm
There's
in.
stuff. There's
I
stuff. Yeah,
don't the magic meat. Nah, I don't know about
yeah.
that.
Well, I'm just saying that was actually a very successful. Went on for a while, but my series from him, Farmhand, is what I enjoy the most. It's about growing
I've heard of that.
yeah, plants as prosthetic
I feel like
limbs.
we just discovered maybe an alternative or spin-off show in the comic universe where we need some recommendations from you as to like what are the things that like not everybody knows about that like we all should be checking out. Because I think that like
Definitely.
your inner circle probably knows where to go for that. There's a lot of people that would be into that kind of shit if they knew if it was more accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of everything's available digital now. I mean, if anybody's ever interested in Marvel comics, I highly recommend just doing a month of Marvel Unlimited for free, which gives you access
Mm.
to like 60,000 comic books for free. And
But even that's
so
overwhelming.
Yeah, but like it is. You definitely have to know where to
Because I'm the
go.
kind of guy, dude, that like, okay, like Spider Man. I'm never gonna choose Spider Man because Spider Man's the guy. I know that people love Spider Man, and I love Spider
Right.
Man, but I'm always like the second tier kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's why I love Optimus Prime, but like really, I got a whole lot of love for like some of the Ironhides of the world. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
Like even if they
100%.
die in the first 10 minutes of the movie, it doesn't matter. But I like the offshoot kind of shit. But then I also like to go in chronological order because if I start at like issue 50, then I miss a lot of context and I don't know the full character development. So to go into a Marvel universe where there's fucking how many, like at least a couple hundred characters or something of that nature
Yeah,
with several issues.
a couple hundred characters of the same characters. I mean, there's like
That's
eight
what I'm
Spider.
saying. So it's like it's unbelievably overwhelming. I think that curation is like really needed because when you told me to check out some of the stuff from this illustrator in the Thanos series, I was like, great. I know it's gonna be legit. If AO
Right.
recommends it, then it's gonna be the right thing. But like, I
Right.
probably would have never found that otherwise. Maybe I would have because of like what was going on in the world of like the Avengers and shit like that. But like,
Right.
I would not find this graphic novel that you just recommended to us with God Country. Like, I wouldn't have found that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those diamond in the rough picks. Like I was saying, Donnie Cates is now being more recognized for his Venom than anything. So like
Right.
the like stories like this, like I mean the movie's going to be coming out, but like stories like that, they do fly under people's radars, and like it's good for people. Some people come in and they don't want anything to do with capes and tights. It's like that's what they call that genre. They're just like I don't
Mm,
care about superheroes. I don't care about Batman or Captain America. Like that
right.
doesn't do it for me. Uh, but there is something out there for everyone, no matter what you're into. Literally, there is something out there for everyone. And I mean, yeah, I would be happy to give recommendations to um, whatever is needed.
I'm with that. I'm with that. We'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
The illustrations in there were pretty fucking dope, man.
Yeah, dude, there's definitely some. I love the one that this Texas landscape right here with him landing holding the sword
Yeah, that's fire.
is just such an awesome picture.
That gives me a kind of like cloud vibe, which is
Yeah,
relevant.
exactly,
All right, yeah.
exactly. But I mean, it's like I said, it's a very fun hobby to, if you're somebody that appreciates art. It's even if you look into like Alex Ross art, like he is one of like the most realistic, like he does everything painted. Like it's
Hmm.
unbelievable how he does it, and it
Yeah.
looks like he's regarded as like one of the best guys out there. But there's just something for everybody, and it's especially now, like we were saying, with you just staring at your screen all day. Like it's definitely something that to get you away from that and enjoy, because
All
you're
right.
still
So
getting
someone did ask a question, really quickly. What's your favorite
yeah.
Marvel arc?
My favorite Marvel arc probably in the last 10 years was the Superior Spider-Man, and that was where Doc Ock had actually killed Peter Parker and switched bodies with him and was fooling the whole world that he was Peter Parker. And he was Spider-Man for a year and a half, and it was one of the most fun rides for Spider-Man in a long time, to see him kind of be an anti-hero, more of a like Punisher-esque, if you do it again, I'll kill you type of vibe. And it gave birth to one of the best Spider-Man suits ever to exist, hands down, which actually I will go ahead and show.
Wait, oh man, I thought you were about to pull the suit out from the closet, and then I was about to lose it on the stream.
No, dude, no, I ain't that crazy. Let's
Yes, you are.
see. Yeah, I'm that
I could
crazy.
see you dropping some crazy cash at like the comic store if they just got one in.
Oh, I
Like,
do drop crazy cash at the comic book store. So like, let's see, where's a good picture of this suit?
I want to read these recommend. I want to read the novels each week before we before we talk about them too going forward because I want to be able to
Yeah,
like
dude, we should definitely book club on.
yeah, like from like an outsider's perspective, I think it could be really fun. Considering that like I'm super into the shit, but like I just don't have the ability to find it the way that you do, which is why it's super helpful for me.
So this was the suit, just the black and the red,
Yeah, it's hard.
and like he had the gauntlets on, but the tinted visor or lenses were just like my favorite, and I loved like the spider on there, and it
It's
was
the bread Spidey suit, like
it has the Doc Ock arms that come out the back.
Yeah, that's
Like,
hard. That's hard
yeah,
as fuck.
it was my favorite run for a long time. Still is. It's one of the best. Believe it or not, Otto Octavius is one of the best Spider-Man ever. So yeah,
That's hard, man.
that's my favorite Marvel arc of the last 10 years, easily. Venom, the new Venom has been right up there as well. It's been like awesome, and especially the art on the book is phenomenal. Ryan Stegman, that's another fantastic artist right there.
What are you like most excited for upcoming? Like, what's like you've got it marked on the calendar? Gotta go get it. You'd recommend it to anybody. Do you have one, or are you not ready to let that out of the bag?
No, we were talking about it earlier. Honestly,
No, 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 no,
Transformers
no,
first.
no.
I got to indulge my nostalgia there. I'm foaming at the mouth to get that first issue. The first cover is half Optimus, half Terminator face, so I need that cover like ASAP. But in terms of
You're really that
the
hyped for this?
dude, I'm hyped for it, man. The new Transformer series that they started last year has been some of the best Transformer stuff that they've released in a while. They brought it back to like before Optimus was Optimus and he was Orion Pax and him and Megatron were boys, and it shows like that uprising of the Decepticons. They go back to the Cybertron days. We're not dealing with human beings anymore.
I hate
Like,
humans and
yeah,
Transformers.
humans and Transformers is the worst thing ever. So, I mean, that's Transformers has been surprisingly really, really, really good lately.
Maybe that's because the movies have like ended their like arc right now
Yeah,
and they're figuring out what to
exactly.
do next, and like the creativity around that universe is like reinvigorated, but like realizes that the commercial movie approach is not where it wants to be.
Yeah, and I mean
Because
it's they
Star Wars
don't.
is doing that too.
Yeah. Oh man, those last three movies were rough to watch. But
What
now,
the
I mean,
fuck?
but what the best thing about that was Mandalorian was better than
Well, that's what I'm
the
saying
whole.
is like
Yeah.
the commercial like huge boom is like, okay, we're gravitating people into this universe, but the offshoots are like where the authenticity is coming. You know what I mean? With these like offshoot stories on, into the Mandalorian, and even in like into like them or not, like the attempts into like Solo and Rogue One, like they're trying to do some more of these like deeper storytelling. Solo wasn't
Yeah.
my kind of thing, but whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
no, Star Wars is 100% going to live on in these sub-series. I mean, like I don't see another trilogy being anything of special at this point. With what we got with those last three. But I mean, Mandalorian was fantastic. They're
yeah,
already hyping up the next season with adding characters from like the Clone Wars and stuff like that. And
yeah.
there, Rosaria Dawson is doing Ahsoka, which was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. So we're gonna get to see some like really cool stuff in like this next Star Wars phase for sure.
But wait, wait, wait.
Um,
Aside from Terminator Transformers, you were going to say something else that you were super hyped about, because we got to go back to that one because I
yeah.
need to talk to you on a deeper level.
So they have they've started a new Vader series that I bet he has discovered that Padme is kind of this is takes place right after he discovers Luke's existence. It's right after he chops off Luke's hand and asks him to join him. Vader has
This is
found out.
timing is dope.
Yeah,
The
this is
time frame is
Vader's.
dope of this.
Yeah, so Vader's found out he's existed, and it's so funny because he's sitting there, and what he's most pissed off about is the people that have raised Luke and made him weak. And so what he wants to do now is go out and kill everybody that Luke has ever had contact with that has made him a weak person. So like
That's
it
the most
starts with
Vader
him.
shit ever. Wow.
Dude, he gets the Death Squadron, just of three hardcore, all blacked out like stormtroopers with like the gats, and like hops on a ship with a droid and is like, "Let's go." And like he ends up finding what he thinks is Padme on Tatooine, but it's actually her body double. So you get that kind of like mystery at first. Is like, oh, Padme back, but it's really her body double, and she wants to hop on with him in his quest for revenge.
That's
So
all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Hop on
definitely
with Vader, baby. What's
exactly,
up, body
exactly.
double? How we doing?
Hey, can't resist the James Earl Jones voice, like how can you? But I mean, like I said, All the Star Wars stuff is really good, but the Vader stuff is really, really, really
Hmm.
something special.
I feel good about what you just said. Like the time frame alone is just so interesting and critical, and like I would have loved to dive deeper into like what happens between like Empire and Jedi, right? And like this is
Yep.
right there. So
Yeah.
that feels dope in terms of just setting, and then yeah, him being pissed the fuck off that people made Luke soft is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why he is mad and wants to kill her. I absolutely love the detail of that. But the one before that took place right after, literally right when he gets off the operating table, and becomes Darth Vader. And I really liked that one a lot because they go into the whole lore of why the Sith lightsaber is red, and you
Hmm,
get to kind of
that's
see
cool.
yeah, you get to kind of see that history. And what's also cool is Palpatine, being the scumbag that he is like, yo, bro, a Sith lightsaber isn't just given, it's taken. And so he sends Vader on a mission, weaponless, to kill one of the remaining Jedi and take his lightsaber so he can create the
Dang, that's
red
like some
saber.
blood in, blood out shit. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
hard.
it's hard.
That's
It's
hard as
awesome.
fuck. But see,
It's
so
awesome.
I like stories like that where it's like, okay, you have like these immersive worlds. There's so many fucking things that like need context and backstory. I don't need
Exactly.
you taking your creative license and being like, I'm gonna create a new problem. I'm gonna create a
Right.
new thing that like we need to tell everybody about. It's like, why is this lightsaber red? It's
Right.
very fundamental and simple. And that's like
Exactly.
it's a great story for you to tell because I never thought about there being a reason for that. But like now that you mention it, I've been watching that
Now,
shit for several years. That makes
now I want
sense.
to know why
Don't
they have a
don't
red
make
lightsaber,
up don't make up some new crazy energy that like I don't know about that no one's ever said shit about. You know what I
yep,
mean?
and
Like
it'll
if
be
you
the
were to
best energy ever.
yeah, if you were to tell me why Lando looked like he just got out of Studio 54, like I'd be cool with that story. I don't need some
Right.
like new type shit. Like that's how he dressed. Like he was doing fucking disco. You know what I'm saying? But like,
He's
give me
drinking them
something
Colt
real.
45s. He's drinking them Colt 45s. Dude. Good old Billy
Uh,
D.
that sounds good, man. That's good. So I
Yeah.
think that this is cool. I think that we should keep doing this. I think that we should like book club some shit. I bet you we can get like a bunch of our homies to like join in on this shit because people got a lot of time on their hands and this is
Definitely.
more interesting than looking at an Instagram feed. To be honest with you, I can't even spend time on Instagram. This shit like just makes me I don't
Dude,
know.
I had to get my blue lens glasses out to stop giving me headaches
Yeah,
today. So it's
I
just
feel
like
that. I feel that.
crazy. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think so. So the novel, you want to hold it up again just so everybody can see it because I think God Country. It's
God
hard.
Country, Donny Cates, drawn by Jeffrey Shaw. Don't sleep on this one.
Don't sleep.
Don't
Don't
sleep on
sleep.
this one. Dude,
Um, so let's try to do this weekly.
let's do it.
Yeah,
Definitely
let's
down.
try to do this weekly, and then maybe there'll be some like offshoot type things because I could use the recommendations whether I'm reading the shit or not, and like some news bulletin updates in the world of in the comic universe. I think would be really dope.
Yeah, I'm down. I love talking about this stuff. So anytime, I love getting my brain picked on whatever. So
Nice.
it's something I greatly enjoy. So I'm definitely down.
Latest toy figurine purchase that people should
Uh,
fucking see because I know
the
we've been
latest
on that kick for a little bit.
the latest toy figure picture purchase that happened was this guy right here, the Cosmic Ghost Rider
Wow.
from actually Donny Cates' other story. This is one. But the really hype thing about this is, hold on, let me, where is it? There it is. The really hype thing about this thing, only 2,000 were made, by the way. Uh,
Where'd you get that from the comic shop or was that online?
yep. No, Third Eye got it for me. Is that it lights up?
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
So you take his little space helmet off. You get those nice flames in there.
I love like the little extra flair there. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. So that was the
Solid.
latest one. Yeah.
When was that? Before quarantine?
Before, yeah, yeah, definitely before that. I have some other stuff waiting for me there that I gotta go get, but not yet.
That's good, man. That's dope. Um, well, dope, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's check back in soon and do some more of these. And what's maybe the one that we should read next? What do you got? Anything at the top of mind?
Top of my head, if let's do a DC. How about that?
All right. I haven't read a DC comic in forever.
This was my favorite DC story in a long time. written by
I'm
Scott Snyder, who's
down for some fucking Batman for sure.
it's so basically, to give you a nutshell, a quick recap of it. Essentially, all these different versions of Batman start showing up. Each one is part of the Justice League, and it's all a universe where Batman became the Flash, Batman became Doomsday, Batman became the Joker, which is obviously the main bad guy in this. And I'm trying to find the picture, the spread of all of them just chilling, because it's one of the hardest pictures ever. It was in the second issue. But essentially, my favorite character, one of my favorite character in this was the Red Death, who is Batman if he became the Flash, and he is awesome looking. God, where's this picture? Here we go. So here's the troop, and every single one of them is Bruce
Fire.
Wayne. Yeah.
Damn, that's
So
hard.
yeah. So like, Doomsday killed Batman, like, from his universe. So basically, they all show up ready to kick ass and mess up the Justice League, and the first thing they do is just destroy Wonder Woman and Superman.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's as
I'm
they
feeling
say,
that. All right, I can do
metal.
that. We got a comment from our guy who was like showing the Godzilla.
All right, real quick, I'll do that.
Yeah, all right, Dark Knight Metal. Oh, you haven't even unboxed this. What the fuck?
Godzilla.
That looks insane.
It is insane.
Have you unboxed that, or are you just keeping that on ice?
I have unboxed it, but it's I'm getting ready to ship it off to Jesse.
Oh, are you selling it to him?
No, he bought it. I just got it for him. I just picked it up.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, I know he's a Godzilla freak. That shit's
Yeah.
hard. So Dark Knight Metal is what you just showed me. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm with that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, man. Well, this
Definitely.
is dope. Let's keep this shit rolling, and in the meantime, get on some Final Fantasy or some Modern Warfare
For
soon.
sure.
All right, my man.
For sure.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. See
All
y'all
right.
later.